Hello everyone, this is DM Gashbad. Today I've got something a little bit different for you. At the end of the last game day, we had a little bit of time left, not enough for a full game of something like Mordheim or Warhammer Fantasy or something like that, but we did have a little bit of time, and so I talked my opponent into having a quick demo game of the Marvel Universe miniature game. Now, normally for demo games, I don't like to just set up an ordinary game, one side versus one side following the normal rules. My impression with these games is mostly the new player gets stomped. It's not really that much fun. It doesn't give a good impression of the game. So I'm trying to do something a little bit different. So in this game, I have set up the Incredible Hulk, and he's mad at Tony Stark for some reason. It's easy to imagine a reason why he might be mad at him. So he's gone to a Stark facility, and he's going to smash the place flat. So one side is playing the Incredible Hulk, and he's trying to destroy every piece of terrain on the battlefield. The other side is going to play a series of the Avengers as they get called in to stop his rampage. So what's going to happen is we're going to start with the absolute cheapest Avenger, which in this case is Black Widow, and every round you roll a 3+, or you roll a d6. On a 3+, a new Avenger enters the board from random table edge, and that new Avenger will be the next cheapest. In the case of a tie, like for example, there's several Avengers with a level of 6, you randomize it. You just draw the top one from the deck. I'm going to tell you right now that this scenario didn't quite work. It wasn't as good as it could have been. Now, I think that it has a lot of potential with just a couple of tweaks, and I'm going to tell you what those are when we're done. But anyway, I'm going to show you this battle report anyway. Know ahead of time that it's not perfect, but I'm going to give you some advice. So if you want to run it later on, you can learn from my mistakes and you can run a better scenario. Anyway, we see here the table that I have set up, and you can tell right away that there's a lot of terrain. Now, if you have less terrain, that is fine. I think it will probably work better. The thing is, when I was setting it up, first off, it's hard when you're setting up terrain not to just use almost everything that you have. It's like, oh, this is a cool piece, I want to put this here. This is a cool piece, I want to put this here. So I think I went a little bit overboard for that reason. Also, I kind of figured that I didn't really know how much terrain to put out there. So I figured I might as well use more, and it's easier to scale it back later. If I use too little, then it's harder to gauge. But anyway, you can see right here. As far as sizes for things go, that matters for the Marvel Universe miniature game. People kind of vary as to how they like things. It depends on what your idea of the physics are of the game itself. Me personally, I feel that characters like Rogue and Colossus should be able to throw shipping containers, people with strength 4. So I made those size 4, the trucks are size 4, the cars are size 3, the larger crates, that kind of thing, and the lampposts, they're size 2, the barrels and things are size 1. The helicopter is size 5, the helipad is size 6, and the big skyscraper under construction is size 7. So the only thing that the Hulk can't actually pick up and throw is the big skyscraper. So he's actually got to pummel that with his fists in order to destroy that. The small building in the lower right, that I made also size 6. So he could, he could pick up a brownstone and hurl it at somebody. He's the Hulk. He does that sort of thing. So I use particular models. I use the Hulk versus the Avengers, but depending on your model collection, you could easily use something else. It totally makes sense to use the Sentry. If you have a smaller collection of X-Men, maybe Magneto would be okay. Get a little bit questionable there. The Hulkbuster armor also would probably work fine. And of course, the Marvel Universe miniature game and the DC Universe miniature game are basically the same thing. So if you have a collection of DC miniatures and you want to try this scenario with, say, Superman going berserk or General Zod against a bunch of Batman-level street characters, that obviously would work fine. In fact, the DC universe has a much wider variety of super powerful, monstrous characters, Darkseid, Steppenwolf, that kind of thing, that would work just fine for this. The idea is Hulk gets deployed in the very center of the table. I know that Black Widow has infiltrate, so she can basically be set up wherever. If you're using X-Men, Avengers, Justice League, something like that, then maybe they would deploy on a table edge at random. whatever works for you. For me, I know Black Widow can just go anywhere. So she has deployed on those shipping containers. Now, I give my opponent the choice. Would you like to play the series of Avengers, or would you like to play the Incredible Hulk? Now, I didn't think about this beforehand, but I think if you're introducing a new player to the game, they're always going to go for the big model in the middle. First off, it sounds like more fun. You get this big stompy monster who's going to smash everything flat, and a bunch of puny weaklings are going to come up against you and you're going to swat them. So I think they're going to want to go for that reason. Also, they're only going to need to learn one card's rules. It may be a relatively complicated card, but they're only going to need to know that one. If they keep having to learn new characters as they come on the board, then that's going to probably overwhelm them. But anyway, I do like the idea for this scenario. So the new player, if they're playing the big monster, they get to learn the rules, how a turn goes, how to use power, how to use attacks, that kind of thing. And they get to know that card's rules fairly well. But they also see a bunch of other characters, and they get to see how other cards and rules work. And so I think it's probably a good introduction, again, even though it didn't quite work out. So, unlike the normal game where you draw tokens to see who goes first, this one we just flipped a coin. Heads, my opponent goes first, tails, I go first, something like that. So let's start with the first turn. So my opponent gets the chance to go first, and he takes it. And so he moves the Incredible Hulk up towards Black Widow like this. And of course, you have a choice when you're the big monster in the middle. You can either really focus on the terrain pieces, or you can go after the characters and sort of blow up stuff incidentally. I think my opponent is interested in trying to beat up those heroes that are coming to stop him from smashing Stark Industries. He's going to move up like that. And of course, the interesting thing about the Incredible Hulk is he actually starts off kind of weak. He's not very angry right now. But so he doesn't have a lot of power to spend on actions in the beginning. As he gets hurt and as he gets angrier and angrier, he will have more power to spend. But right now he can't really do that much in a single turn. The first thing he is going to do is he's going to use the good old Hulk Thunderclap. So he's going to slap his hands together in a cone of concussive force, and he is going to damage that police truck in front of him. He's going to damage those two shipping containers, and he is going to hurt Black Widow. Black Widow, she's an acrobat. She easily dodges out of that cone of destruction, but she does take 1 damage. So the Hulk finishes his turn by smashing apart that police truck that was in front of him, and that's it for him. Black Widow gets her turn. She doesn't have an attack that causes more than 1 damage, and Hulk has resistance to all of her attack forms of at least 1. So she is unlikely to actually hurt the Hulk. She can only hurt him on a critical, which he happily attempts to do. So she fires off a couple of bullet barrages, doesn't come up with a critical, so just the spray of bullets just patters off the Hulk's hide and only helps irritate him. So now we're on to the next turn. So we roll a d6. On a 3 or more, I get a new character. I roll a 3. I draw my random cheapest character. Let's see. There's just a bunch of Avenger characters that are level 6. Turns out Black Panther is the one that I draw, and he's also got infiltrates. So he appears on the board right next to Hulk. He sneaks forward while Black Widow is distracting him. But Hulk still gets the first activation. So Hulk jaunts over and he grabs the helipad. He just lifts the whole thing up. All the things on top of it fall. They don't fall far enough to take damage, but you can see the helicopter is tipped over there. Anyway, he straight up hurls it at Black Widow. Now, I think we forgot about Black Widow's stealth. He would have technically not been able to target her unless he was close enough. But, whatever. Anyway, Black Widow should be fine. She's got really high agility and she's got acrobat, but she manages to fail both of her agility checks, and so she takes, let's see, what was the size of the helipad? It was size 6 plus the Hulk smash rule. So she takes 7 damage from this one hit, and so she is almost out. She gets knocked down. She's badly hurt. I activate her next. She hops down off of those shipping containers and continues to fire bullets at that enraged green machine, and of course does no damage. Black Panther is a different character. Now, he's actually a really interesting guy. He's low willpower. He's only level 6. He doesn't have a huge health bar. In a normal team game, it's easy to overlook him. He doesn't have any ranged attacks. All of his All of his attacks are physical, so he's a little bit limiting in that way. However, he's really good in this particular scenario against the Hulk because he's got a basic attack which is irresistible, which is really efficient. It only costs 2 power and it causes 2 damage. And he just has a sky-high agility with acrobat, so plus a good attack. So he's actually really good at attacking the Hulk. So while the Hulk is going messing around with this helipad, Black Panther just jumps on his back and starts scratching him up with those vibranium claws, doing a fair bit of damage. So it's the next round. I get the first activation. I don't make the 3+ roll, so we get no reinforcements this round. But I activate Black Panther first, and he continues to claw and scratch at the Hulk, doing even more damage. The Hulk gets real tired of that real fast, just reaches behind him and grabs the Panther and hurls him at Black Widow. Black Widow, she stayed on her feet, fortunately. She didn't fail her stamina roll to see if she passed out last round, which is pretty lucky. And she also manages to dodge out of the way of the hurtling Black Panther. Black Panther takes a pile of damage, but Black Widow takes nothing because she just backflips out of the way. For the remainder of the Hulk's activation, he's going to move over those shipping containers and he's going to try and wreck that Stark stuff over there. Black Widow decides that she doesn't want to stand right next to Black Panther. They're both hurt, and she doesn't want a Hulk Thunderclap or a shipping container thrown by Hulk to take them both out at the same time. So she's going to move off to the side, and she's going to continue firing bullets ineffectually. Unfortunately, at the end of the round, that helipad that she took to the head is just a little bit too much, and so she passes out. So all of my guys are knocked down. Black Panther is still conscious, fortunately. He passed his stamina roll. But yeah, Hulk should be feeling pretty good right now. It's a new round. I make that 3 up to get reinforcements, and here comes Matt Murdock. Here comes the man without fear, Daredevil. He shows up on the table edge off to the left. And I get the first activation. So Black Panther, he doesn't want to be lying down on the job. He skips forward as fast as he can, and he, again, starts slashing up the Hulk. The Hulk doesn't care for that at all. He picks up a shipping container off to the left. He just swings it in a wide arc, so he throws it. Black Panther manages to fail both his agility check, so he actually gets hit with this thing, taking even more damage. He's really, really hurt at this point. And, of course, he gets knocked down. But the remainder of that shipping container's damage goes and lands on Black Widow. Can't dodge because she's passed out, so she takes the last 2 points of damage to KO her, take her off the board. And so Hulk kind of cleaning house here a little bit. Here comes Daredevil, though. He's not scared of the Hulk. He could have actually stayed a little bit further away and used his 4 inches of reach on his melee attacks with those billy clubs, but he moves straight in there and starts smacking Hulk about the head. Now again, Daredevil's another one of those really cheap characters, level 6, that's got really nice attacks. He's got a high attack. He's got a very efficient attack. It costs 2 power and it does 2 damage. So even though Hulk is going to resist half that damage, Matt Murdock's doing real well and he lays some good hits on the Hulk. So it's a new round, and again, I make that 3+ roll, and here comes Hawkeye. But my opponent wins the chance to go first, and he gladly takes that. And the first thing that he's going to do is Hulk is going to angrily stomp his foot on the pavement for a big Hulk earthquake. Now, Black Panther is on the ground, and he cannot dodge, so a bit of concrete just breaks and launches him straight into Jersey. So that takes the last bit of damage off of Black Panther, and he is off the table. Daredevil easily passes his agility roll, and so he only takes minor damage. It clears out a bunch of the small terrain pieces around the Hulk and takes off 2 points of damage from all those shipping containers nearby. That's a red attack, so he can't do that again. But still, it was a good use. Cleared a guy off and did a bunch of damage to terrain, which is, of course, the victory conditions for the scenario. Daredevil goes next. He continues to do what Daredevil does, which is to hit the bad guy about the head with his billy clubs, doing more damage. Hawkeye moves forward. He doesn't have a whole lot of willpower to spend, but he can creep forward and he can fire a specialty arrow, let's call it an acid arrow, at the Hulk and causes 1 damage. And now we're getting into some heavy hitters. It's a new round. I make my 3+ reinforcements roll again, and here comes Captain America. Captain America, like Black Panther, has a lot of things going for him in this fight. He's got high defense, he's got high attack, he's got acrobat so he can dodge things that are thrown, which is a good way for Hulk to deliver damage. And he has an irresistible vibranium shield, so he can cause damage on the Hulk that will cut through his resistances. So Captain America is going to be another strong player. But first we have Daredevil. Daredevil is just doing the work here. He is firing more damage. He has got Hulk down to the pale zone. He's doing real well, and he continues to hit Hulk with those billy clubs. And what does that do? That makes Hulk mad. Hulk just wheels on Daredevil, and he does his second red attack, which is the Gamma Strike. That is the big 7 power, 7 damage, all-in-one super strike. He smashes it into Daredevil. Daredevil tries to up his physical defense to avoid that thing. He cannot. Hulk is just too mad. So Hulk punches Daredevil straight in the face, pushes him all the way back to the edge of the board. Daredevil falls down. He is unbelievably hurt. I think he's only got 1 health bar left. But that took a little bit too much out of the Hulk. The Hulk is way down, and so he has to make stamina checks to stay standing. He fails it. Even though he has that nice stamina of 11, he doesn't make the roll, and he passes out at the end of the round. And the bad news is that he doesn't get back up again. So not only is the Hulk unconscious through this round, not only is he surrounded by Matt Murdock and Captain America, and Hawkeye is down below shooting arrows at him, but Iron Man also arrives. He's had enough of the Hulk smashing his facility. So the sleeping Hulk, just gets surrounded by the core of the Avengers, and he can't take that amount of damage. That is too much. The Hulk goes out and this scenario is over. So that was a big win for the Avenger team. The Hulk did not wreck too much of the battlefield. So I think when and if I run this scenario again, and I want to because it was a lot of fun, I'm going to change a couple things. Less terrain is probably the first thing that you could do. Even making it a smaller board, like instead of 36 by 36, make it 24 by 24. Make it so the Hulk doesn't have to walk quite so far to get to the things he has to smash. Also means the Avengers are much closer, they can't hide, that sort of thing. The other thing I was a little bit surprised at is I just assumed the Hulk had regeneration. He does not. If there's 2 things that the Hulk does, like one is smash, the other is heal. So I just assumed he had it, but in fact he does not. So yeah, for the purposes of this scenario, I would say give the Hulk regeneration 1. I don't know, I think it helps keep him in the fight. It means that the Avengers have to be aggressive. They can't just chip away at him. They have to keep the pressure on. It also gives them the choice early on whether to actively go after the Hulk or to maybe stay back and group up, spring out all at once. It lets the Hulk go and smash up the board, but if they can pile a bunch of damage on all at once, then his regen won't take off these little chips and bits of damage that they can otherwise do. And again, the street level characters are actually pretty good at doing it. The other thing, obviously, is I just couldn't decide how often I wanted reinforcements to come on the board, so I sort of kind of split the difference a little bit and said they come on the roll of 3+. In the future, I would say just make it every other round. So one round they don't get reinforcements, the next round they do. Make it a little bit steadier, and definitely make it not so frequent. Because I think I just, I made all but one of those 3+ rolls, and the table just started filling up with heroes too fast. The Hulk couldn't keep up, and of course, as you go further on into the scenario, the heroes that come out are going to be harder and harder for the Hulk to get rid of. They get better and better. And so when you get to the level of Captain America and Iron Man, those guys get to be pretty serious opponents. So anyway, that was the game. Again, it didn't work out exactly the way I wanted to, but hopefully you guys enjoyed it anyway, and maybe you thought that this might be something that would be fun to run yourselves, and of course, obviously learn from my mistakes and make those adjustments. Hopefully I'll be able to run it again more successfully later on, but I wanted to share this with you guys. I thought it might be helpful. So, thanks for watching, and I will see you on the next one.